Hi there, I'm Limcube, and we are looking at Task 7 Analysis. And I'm joined by SmallAnt1. What's up, SmallAnt?
Hey, what's up? It's SmallAnt1.
Task 7 took place in Cap Kingdom. Very many, actually, objectives that we had to complete this time. And as it turned out, it was actually our shortest task yet, as far as times go. Very interesting, but at first, the usual question, SmallAnt. Why did you want to have a task in Cap Kingdom?
Well, it was one of the last kingdoms that we haven't been to yet, so I figured it would be a good one to pick. And looking around, there's really not that many checkpoints. There's the Odyssey, there's the one that we're seeing in top 4, and I think in top 25, and then there's the checkpoint up top. And so I figured that I would make a task that is doable relatively quickly from every checkpoint, but I wanted something that there's just so many different routes that are probably really close to each other, but it's still a really short task. Like, this task had the most amount of objectives. You have to get 8 things in this task, and it's the shortest one so far, so it's just an overwhelming amount of options. And so that's kind of what I was trying to do, is have a lot of things going on in a really short time frame.
And incredibly, when I was like experimenting around with this task, I basically had one baseline when it comes to routing, because obviously 2 objectives were kind of tied to each other, which is killing the Paragoomba and killing Mario itself. Kind of goes through your mind that you probably want to kill the Paragoomba in some way that you end up basically in the death zone below him. So that was kind of set in place. So when I was routing this, for example, I was thinking, okay, what's the shortest way between a checkpoint and a Paragoomba? Because there were so many lanterns and like bonnetiers, I don't know the exact names, like around, especially on this like plaza checkpoint, that basically all you had to do is make your way to the Paragoomba as fast as possible and get the objectives like along the way.
That was definitely my idea too, is just get to the Paragoomba and then get everything else on the way.
Yeah, because with so many options, all you needed to do is figure out strats to actually get these objectives fast. And let's look at top 4 here, what they decided to do to actually do just that. And we do have Circleback at number 1, just barely, it looks like, beating me on this one. And it's actually super interesting because we ended up having almost the exact same move, and I think he does one more jump and just barely beats me.
That's yeah, it's so close. Like, if you were wearing the same costume, this would look like the same run.
Yeah.
For the first like half of it. The only difference is really he does a second jump right there, and you just continue walking, and that might have been the few frame time save that...
To be honest, his ground pound also was a bit higher, because I was going to bring that up. The best way that I found, obviously, to kill this Paragoomba would be some sort of ground pound. I've actually tried a little bit with a spin pound on the railing there, but I couldn't really hit the guy, like the Paragoomba. Yeah, ground pounding is the fastest falling speed, and if you were to like jump on top of the Goomba, Mario would actually bounce. If you ground pound through him, you don't get stopped at all, so you can just basically fall through him.
Absolutely.
And yeah, basically what both of us did in this one, it seems like. I actually found that first thread when I was messing around with the down throw dive start that most of us also did in Task 7. I actually only tried to hit the bonnet here. And then I realized how well you can actually use the like chaining mechanism in this route specifically, because if you hit... You can't actually home to these cappy guys, bonnetier guys. They are not really considered like capture or like an objective for the game. So if you shake Cappy while being close to them, it would actually not hit them, but instead just like fly somewhere. But if you end up hitting them, Cappy will still return. And the lamps, they are actually, like, the game considers them real objectives. So Cappy, as we see at the start here, will basically just latch onto them. And I use this chain mechanic circle, as we see also, used it 3 times here actually, for the first lamp, for the second bonnet here, and also for the last lamp.
I really like that about this task, is you do 2 objectives with a single cap throw a bunch of times. It looks so stylish doing two things at once. Maybe like 3 things really. You're moving with Mario and hitting 2 objectives.
Watching these 2 runs is actually insane. Like, I think he just barely ground pounds a little bit before me, but the rest looks almost identical. I wanna know if that double jump saved time. It doesn't look like it though, because he down throws at the same time, and he just, I guess, he down throws at the same time, but his ground pound is earlier. I think
it's hard to say with it being so close. I think usually the double jump keeps your momentum a little bit better, so I'd say it saves maybe like a frame or 2, but it's probably the bigger thing is an earlier ground pound.
Yeah. To be honest, I think the way he probably found this route as well is also if you somehow stumble upon this beginning strat, the rest kind of like aligns itself. Like, that's just the most logical objectives, I guess. But the opening strat, if I hadn't found that unintentionally, which this is what I just can basically tell people when they want to do tasks, just try a bunch of different options, and sometimes you just find something unintentionally. Like, that was actually the same for me with the task 3, with the slope and the big bullet bill.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just find something unintentionally, and that actually ends up saving time. And this beginning strat, if I hadn't seen that, if that hadn't happened, I would have probably picked another route.
Yeah, let's take a look at JDA's now, see what he was doing compared to you guys, because I think he's around 0.6 seconds slower. So what's the difference in the route here? Right at the start, it's a down throw to the other bonneter, but he does hit that one and the lantern, and it's a lantern on the right. I do see a few spots where you could probably save a little bit of time with JDA's route here, but it's still really clean.
Yeah, so initially looking at his route, I like it even more than what Circle and I have, because he doesn't have to go out of his way there to hit the... I think it's like a female bonnet here at the very end. And optimally, I would want to see if optimally this would potentially be even possible to be done faster than the first 2 here. Because he gets the first cap throw in really quickly, and I think this is a trap that some people might have fallen into. Like trying to get too many objectives at the very start without moving, because you want to get moving as fast as possible. But the way JDA did it was actually super efficient. He got the fast hit in, he dived immediately over to the second bonnet here and the second lantern. Hit that one as well as Cappy returned. And then, what I don't really like is his throw there. He could have maybe done some RCJ ideas as well, which is what we call like the roll cancel jump, where you keep your momentum.
Yeah, to get that second lantern there, he does a dive instead of... Like, he cap throws and dives, and that kills all of his momentum. I think he might have been able to save some time if he roll boosted and then did a roll cancel jump instead there. Might have been faster.
Yeah, that's one thing that I see, and the second thing, I haven't tried that route. There were obviously a ton of options. I tried a bunch of stuff. I didn't try this one, but he ended up getting a cap return jump going towards the Paragoomba, which basically gave him some. It looks like unnecessary height. I don't want to make that judgment call because maybe it was needed for him to hit the lantern, but I can't see it. And if he avoided both of these, like this looks too high for me.
It looks like you would be able to make that work with some other movement, maybe. Yeah, if you did get the single jump and then ground pounded a little bit earlier, it might have saved some time. Because generally, if you're planning on falling, you want to, like, jump the smallest possible amount, I would guess.
And let's look over at Miles Pro's idea. Miles Pro making it into top 4, I think 3 times in a row. He started doing tasks. I think he wasn't in top 4 at the first time, time he participated. And ever since, he's been in top 4, I think.
Something I forgot to point out is Tuval isn't here this time.
Oh, I actually didn't even point it out myself. I did hear him say that he didn't really feel it this week. Maybe not enjoying the game at the moment that much, but I mean, it happens, obviously.
Yeah, just taking a break. That happens. Taking a break from this week, and that's fine. But that's amazing.
He also didn't participate in week 1, but this might actually be my chance now to turn something around in the leaderboard. I don't know. There's still 1 week to go. But let's look at first at Miles Pro here. As he actually does something that I really liked while doing this, because there's different ways to make these Boneteurs flinch. Most of us here used cap throws, but you can also roll through them. It's kind of precise, the hitbox is a little bit weird, but he also spin throw. He takes the same 3 first objective as GDA, and then he just rolls through the Bonetier and hits these 2 lanterns at the very end, which that kind of was some unnecessary move. He must have been very close to JDA though, right? Like in terms of times? Yeah,
only, like, if you watch the ending there, when the circles shrink, you can see how close they are. It's a few frames that JDA is faster. The difference between 1st and 2nd place, and the difference between 3rd and 4th place, it's so small. Like,
yeah, it looks very tiny.
Very, very small difference. And really, it's kind of cool to see that there's 3 different routes all in top 4 here, which is actually kind of incredible.
Yeah, and I was actually watching back some season 1 routes, and I feel like this is actually a new development, because back in season 1 I saw routes were actually more similar, it feels like, and now at least at the very highest level, and now there's such a big variance, so much creativity as well. We really enjoy watching these. But at the very end here, 4 solid ones. And I think this task, when I was first looking at it, looked very overwhelming. There was so much to do. But once you actually get to the kingdom, you realized, okay, there's so many options. I just gotta figure out what... And this was like the hard part in this one, figuring out which of these mini objectives to get. And I tried around a bunch of objectives until I find that strat, which basically locked my routes like to be how it is now. And I'm assuming that's kind of what Circle does as well. And I'm assuming that's also what JDA and Miles Pro do here. They, for JDA, Miles Pro goes probably like this start strat, where they throw Cappy towards that Bonetier and then are still able to get these other 2 objectives quick. And then they decided on some mini objectives. And the rest is just movement and obviously execution, because getting the clip that I have at the end here probably took me out, so like 8 hours or more.
Oh, wow.
Which is annoying, but it's what you need to do to get a very solid time. Once again, I don't know how to beat Circle. He seems unbeatable. I thought I might have it in the back this time, but still not enough, and he also figured out that strat at the start.
Yeah, Circle with incredibly consistent high placement. Really impressive, actually.
Yeah, pretty good player. But other than that, I am, as far as excitement for these tasks go, I think it's up there. It wasn't as frustrating to grind as something like the Ruin task, but I think tying the amount of fun I had with the Lake task is pretty hard. It was really like satisfying. I think you kind of had similar emotions to task 6. Was probably the most fun one so far for me, even though I didn't manage to place that well. But this one was still fun for me, not as frustrating as others. So doing these attempts for a good time here wasn't actually not too bad.
Yeah, it was, I like this task too. It was one of the better ones for sure.
I wonder though how many people got a really good run and then missed the Paragoomba, because that surely happened to me sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, definitely great results as always. Had a lot of fun to look at these unique and creative routes of these people. But now we are actually coming very close to Task 8, which is gonna mark the end of Tasks Season 2. I'm already sad. However, I'm glad that I'm gonna be able to catch a little break. I don't have to perform every week now to kind of get my placing in order.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but I'm still kind of looking at it with sad emotions. I really liked Tasks here, and once again, this is going to be a huge shout out to you, SmallAnt, organizing this. I think a ton of community members are having a lot of fun with these, but there is still one more task, which is going to be task number 8, and I'm sure, once again, as always, you are going to be telling us all about it.
Yes, the final task is in any kingdom you want.